So Lenz have done their 2026 newspaper, their announcements, and it confirms some projects. There are a lot of projects going on in the background that I can only infer to. So, particularly on the Digital Plus side of things, they want to be in full control of the finished product, so that the Lenz O gauge range gives them the opportunity to explore features that require additional content, as it were. So they've done a lot of work on motor control by getting rid of back EMF and using magnetic angle sensors on the motors. But that needs cooperation with manufacturers to work with their chips. So their test bed, of course, has been their O gauge range. And we've seen beautiful running qualities from the BR86, the BR64 and the BR01 Pacifics, and other models that they've produced recently, the little V60 diesel. And without the back EMS, you don't get that descending whine as the loco starts off. They are beautifully silent in some cases. But all of that takes time, and it takes cooperation with other manufacturers. An offshoot of that will be the Bush TT scale BR56. So again, that's a project that Lenz have control over, or Meg, who own Lenz, have control over. So there is development work going on with Digital Plus, but it is very much concentrated on areas where they're going to see positive adoption. The loco also benefits from the new motor control technology. So they use an angle sensor on the motor shaft to tell the decoder exactly where the motor is. And they use that for load control and sound control. But the real beauty of it is it makes the model silent. You don't get that descending wail that you get with back EMF. So, really nice mechanism. So the first thing to say is that they have confirmed the BR81 in O gauge, so the 080 tank loco, which in real life shared a lot of common parts with the BR80, but actually in model form it shares the wheels. There's, I suppose, the electronics and the motor drive, I suppose, will be the same, but the basic chassis and body components will be different between the two locos. So in some respects it's quite surprising they're doing it, but it's a lovely loco. Not a huge class, but something that will be great on small layouts. On the other extreme, they've announced some 26.4 metre M-Wagen coaches. So these were built, well, UIC X standard were applied to them, the UIC sort of really coming on stream after these coaches were started. So with 6,000 of these coaches built, there's a lot of opportunity there for different liveries. Thankfully, at the start, Lenz have concentrated on Era 3 and Era 4 liveries. A few designs were built in the 50s, so Era 3 is catered for realistically. Some of the coaches came along later on, so those won't appear in Era 3 liveries. So quite exciting to have some stock that is going to be suitable for the 01 Pacific, but also it will be suitable for an awful lot more modern electrics and diesels, because these coaches have a 50-year service life. So looking forward to them, but I appreciate they are going to be very large coaches, so I don't know how many people will have space for them. So we need to gather information about who would want them. It's too risky for me to just blindly order and hope that there's going to be customers interested in them. Something I did get quite excited about are the standard rural coaches. These are 12-metre chassis coaches. They were welded designs, so they're smaller than Thunderboxes, and I think those will be much more popular in that they will fit on small layouts. And there's plenty of locos already available that they will go with. Lenz have also confirmed at last the V36.1 project. And I didn't realise this, these are not the same as the locos they've done previously. They did the V36.4 series, which are bigger. Obviously very similar looking, but quite a different model. The V36.1 were the original Wehrmacht tractors. The V36.4 were built after the war. And they've announced about 7 liveries. There is one that is direct orders only, which is a bit frustrating, but that's where it is. The one nice thing is obviously this will feature the new motor technology. It will also feature a smoke generator, so I think that will have an interesting additional digital option. So I'm looking forward to those. Again, I don't know what the development time scale is going to be. There's a lot going on in a relatively small O-gauge loco. So they've also confirmed that they are doing more and more of these brass accessories. Some of them have already arrived, the buffers and the water cranes. And I learned something new about the water cranes. The double articulated water crane is designed so the loco doesn't have to stop perfectly. With a single arm and with a sort of radius of cover, the loco drivers had to be quite precise stopping in front of them. The articulated ones gave a margin of error because you could then just move the bottom half of it into the right position. So I now understand how they worked. An exciting new announcement are some yard lamps, and they're not badly priced for O-gauge brass construction, so we'll see how they go. Something else they've hinted at is an overhead catenary system, which is something I think a lot of customers have been calling for. At the moment it's in development, and I don't know whether it's going to be 3D printed, which is what I thought at the start, or whether it will actually be brass masts. We'll see how that goes on, because it does need to be quite durable. So there are a few announcements of items that have been done before, but they're doing new liveries. So they're doing some more 1928 express coaches, but this time in East German liveries. I think there's a handful of additional coaches. Some of them are special editions that are only available direct. Quite nice is that they are doing new versions of the streamlined dining cars. They sold out very quickly, so they are doing an East German one, which is one they didn't do before, and then an Era 3A and an Era 3B West German one. They're also rerunning some wagons, so there's a G10 covered wagon and some OM12 gondolas. They will have new running numbers as well, so they're fairly useful for building out trains. So finally, there's some updates on a number of other projects. The BR80s are progressing and they're getting more parts together. They have decided to reduce it to just 4 variants. Originally announced 8, and they've just stated that there weren't enough orders for particularly the industrial ones, and I'm not surprised in a way. So I don't think it affects anyone particularly. I think the versions that people have ordered are still being made. Similarly with the Taurus and the Trax locos, the former MTH locos, the project has been on hold, put on hold for the moment. And again, they've cited insufficient pre-order numbers. Yeah, again, a difficult one, but I think a good decision. And then there's a lot of projects coming this year, so we've got tarpaulin wagons in the summer, the battery rail cars in the summer, the E69 electrics in the summer, the brass line BR245s in the summer, the VT95 rail cars, and the brass line VT627 are coming in the autumn. Towards the end of the year, there is the slimline turnout, the 9 degrees point. And towards the end of the year, the RE442 production. I think that's a project they bought in from someone else. Quite interesting, they still haven't announced liveries, so hoping that something will come up of that. The Class 103 locomotives are going to be next year. And then there's some container wagons they announced last year are coming towards the end of this year as well. V20s are due in the summer, and BR24 locos are still yet to be delivered, are coming in the first quarter. So some were delivered before Christmas, there's more coming. So there's quite a lot of projects coming to a close all at the same time, which is unfortunate. We'll see how that goes.